Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. How y'all doing? This is the African Speaks. Yeah, this is a late night version. And late night, of course, this is a late night, not a later night, 9:30. I was working on some things and I said, you know what? Um, the night is not over yet, so I can still go live. And so I'm live. How y'all doing this evening? Hopefully I didn't catch y'all before y'all dozed off, or maybe you sitting up doing what I'm doing, contemplating the world around you, how you fit in it, the changes that are going on, and what can you do about it, or what should we do about it? Maybe you focusing on development and growth. You know, whatever is on your mind at this particular time. Maybe you just relaxing after a long, busy day. For me, yeah, I was going through some things, putting together this particular stream. Uh, and I wanted to share some things with you. So, one, we always say if you're watching us on Facebook, please uh, hit the like, comment, and share. Right. This is how we connect to our community. This is how we reach out to one another. This is how we let people know what's really going on. We bring must see live stream. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that way when we are sending out and we're streaming live from the multiple programs that we produce and the programs that are coming, you will always be notified with everything that we do. And so again, we welcome you this evening. We welcome you, we welcome you, welcome you. Always we are focused on the rise of the African. We're always focused. I saw you, India. One love. Hopefully the new job going good. We're focused on the rise of the African, which is our social media Pan-African movement where we're bringing black youth, black parents, black young adults, elders, everybody together. We said we're not leaving nobody out. We're not leaving anybody out. We are working on moving things forward. Now, for those who don't know and I haven't got a chance to speak to, I'm letting you know on the African Speaks, I'm telling you, the brother just became recently Walamu Aj. Walamu Aj. Now, for those who want me to translate what Walamu means in today's world, in the American world, African American environment, Walamu means reverend or minister. So it is official. The brother is literally clergy. They ordained me Easter morning, Resurrection Sunday. So I was resurrected to the newness of myself. I haven't posted that yet, but it's coming out so that everybody know the brother's making a transition. Oh, my daughter. All right, Tish, thank you, thank you, thank you. One love. I see you watching. I want my grandbaby back. Yeah. I see you, Janae. Thank you. Um and so this has been a movement. So ever since the and after Easter, after Resurrection Sunday, we were dealing with the issue of self-reflection. Because once you're resurrected to the newness of yourself, your awareness of who you are in God, once you are aware of that, then you have to self-reflect because then there are things that come after that. And so I've been in that, man. When I tell you that this oh, get this, yeah, that's right there, him right there. When I tell you he's been in a state of deep thought, because I've been, people been calling me and asking me, so what does that mean for you? What does that mean for you? What does that mean for you? And I'm working on that, right? Because this is a whole new level. You know, if you know anything about me, you know I go hard at anything that the creator calls me to do, I go hard. And so for my community, my people, my family, I go hard. I don't know how not to go hard. And with this ordination, when they lay the hands on you and you feel the energy of the elders go through them from the ants, from the creator to the ancestors, through the elders into you, and they deem you, ask you to take responsibility for the liberation of black people, the rise of the African, where their faith is now in you. Now, for me, y'all know I'm gonna do this. I was doing this without a title. So with the title, what happens? Pastor whispers in my ear, "Don't stop." So, oh, it changes now because it's a whole different level of relationship you share with the elders in the community. They see the young buck coming. Now they know who the young buck is. And then they ordain you, giving you the authority to speak for God in the community. That's a whole difference. So when I speak on the Rise of the African, I'm not just speaking to you. I'm speaking also within me. So we share this. So then for the last, since Resurrection Sunday, what I've been focusing on and what I came to understand, and I was asking myself the question, and we've talked about this before, is there anything deeper than faith? Let's talk about it. Is there anything deeper than faith? Now, we have an experience where individuals are becoming more conscious of their blackness. They're coming more conscious. We have more individuals partaking in traditional African spirituality. So it's more than just studying black history or African history and understanding where we come from. It's understanding that the spiritual being that's in our DNA, who we are called to be as a people, and what we brought to this planet. That's a difference. And so when I sat down and said, okay, I'm taking this next, I'm deemed to take this next level. Is there anything deeper than faith? And so there was a conversation that I was having with a brother who said, do you believe the slaves truly had faith? And he said, absolutely not. They didn't exist in faith because faith can be shaken with a whip. Faith can be shaken with a chain. Faith can be shaken with slavery. Now, even though they indoctrinated us with the falsehood of Christianity, not saying that Christianity is false, but they added falsehoods in the practice of spirituality. Slaves didn't have faith. They had something deeper than faith. When you make that statement, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams, they couldn't go through what they went through if all they had was faith. In certain situations and circumstances, it's not enough. What? It's not enough? That's a lot. I'm putting it on the line, right? You listening, you want to see what this is. What is deeper than faith? And this is the conversation of the night. Again, I'm telling you what I'm wrestling with since Resurrection Sunday. What is deeper than faith? It's living in the knowing. Living in the knowing. Because again, we have had experiences now where we are embracing the beauty of who we are as a people. We are embracing it. And so we're changing, straight up, natural hair. You get your face right, your skin. My daughter has a skincare regimen. I don't know how she does it, and I be wanting to ask her because she got it glowing, natural skin. So if she does put makeup on, it just it's extra. But without it, it's just like pow. Okay, then it's the jewelry, the clothing. Everything is changing behind us learning more about who we are. But then do we exist in that knowing factor? Living in the knowing. Because I do have friends who talk about, well, I know African this and I know African. Now, do you know it? Really? Because that's going to determine how you live, how you interact, how you talk. Because you can't put on kente cloth and speak down to somebody that looks like you. You just can't. Now you can push them to acknowledge their knowing, right? You can push them to acknowledge their knowing and then see what they do in reference to living in it. Now let me drop this for you because this is important when it comes to just accepting. Okay, I'm gonna be a little bit more African in my American experience. just a little bit more African. That doesn't mean you really know who God called you to be. You just, for some of us it's a fad, but some of us we live it. And so I had to get to that knowing aspect. And so it says, and if you've ever been a part of my African history class, we understand that what they've done to us psychologically, pulling us away further and further from a people who knew that they were going to be able to defeat slavery. That's the only way you can get a slave to wake up the next day, or get whipped and get back up and keep working, because he knew coming through him or through her would be a generation that will stand up for who God called them to be. Slaves were more powerful than you could even imagine in their knowing. Because there's nothing around that says, and then of course they try to get us to believe in the by and by. No, Africans don't believe in the by and by. They believe in the right now. Right now, I'm going to endure. I'm going to fight. I'm going to make this happen, because what comes through me, is stronger. And let me put this image up so you can see it. What comes through me is stronger and will be able to combat the situation that I'm dealing with. One love, Janae. Thank you. It is definitely powerful. I told you, I've been focusing on dealing with this for a minute. Hey, Shakesha. Shakesha was the one who called me and said, "What we do next, brother?" Because she got ordained too. And so I've been meditating on getting deeper into my knowing, because they knew in the situation where they had less than us. They knew. You see, they still producing because they knew. And they said, all we have to do is endure for the next generation, for the next generation, for the next generation, because they knew. Faith can be shaken. You get me in a debate with somebody about their faith. Let me study what your faith is. And if it's not solid, I'll be the one to shake your belief. And I don't know how many people I've done that to before. So be careful. Don't sit down and talk to me about what you think you know. Hey, Vanessa. How you doing? One love. But they knew it was something deeper than faith. And so there was something about us that would not budge. And we've talked about that previously. That melanin, that the God particle, that melanin. Why can we sit in the sun and absorb that energy and continue to recharge? They knew there's certain things that you couldn't get out of their DNA. There's certain things that you couldn't shake them from. There is something deeper than faith. And it's knowing who you are in God. And it's not I'm skipping around. I'm skipping around because I'm in my moment. It's not about believing. I'll go back here. It's not about believing. Knowing versus believing. And we've talked about this again. We're going to go a little bit deeper today. It's not about believing. Because a belief, if I show you different facts and uncover different facts and give you a different perspective, I speak in a tongue that your deeper awareness understands and it triggers. Now all of a sudden, what? Your belief is gone. How much do you know about how you exist in God? How much do you know? And it's not, again, data. We talking about from a cellular or a DNA structure. And we've done this. Hopefully you've been on Keybland Inspirational Sunday. Hopefully you've been watching DaAfrican Speaks. Hopefully you've been a part of Afro Stream, because I went detailed in our DNA structure, what's in our DNA, and how God placed us as. Everybody said, well, you can't get white, black from white. Okay, so is that something you believe, or is that something you know? Because if it's something you know, then that means you become different at your core. You become different at your core. Now, when you sit down and you deal with how they utilize data, false data, to take us from a knowing to a believing, from an absolute to a possibility, then you you believe different. So I'm gonna come back to here. Amos Williams, the author, teaches that to manipulate history is to manipulate consciousness. To manipulate someone's consciousness is to manipulate their possibilities. To manipulate possibilities is to manipulate power. Now, if you know that this is what happened to us, you either believe it or you know it. Because if you believe it, then you do nothing. You become nothing. You exist as nothing but someone who has data. But when you know that they stole our awareness in God to create a black reality of just perpetual enslavement in so many different ways. When you know those things, there's a shift. Why? Because we are clear that knowing is way more powerful than believing or even faith. They gave you faith. They didn't give you your knowing who God created us to be and what we were here to do. As we continue to embrace our spirituality. Now, going deeper into African spirituality, you realize that an African people understood that they lived in a spiritual universe where everything is of God and is an expression of God. Where I'm God expressing myself to God, which is you. Why? Because it's all an expression of God. It's God expressing himself through many things. I created, if you are a creator, if you sit down and you build a car, your intellect, your craft, everything about you is being expressed through that manifestation. That is an expression or an extension of your intellect, your thought process, how you see everything. You paint. It's the same thing. It's an expression of who you are. And this is who we are. So as we begin to see that, what we started learning, which you will start learning if you only believe, but when you slip into your know, it is clear that you are a straight up vessel for divine power and energy. Straight up energy beings. Our energy vibrates 30 feet from us. And God is that source, that creator. Everything is that source. Have you ever been in an environment or you took a walk in nature and you didn't feel the wind? Wow, I'm getting emotional because I have these moments. But you are the wind. You don't see the water, you be the water. You don't just feel the warmth of the fire, you are the fire. That's when you realize in terms of under the knowing that I am a pure expression of the creator and everything around me is his expression and I connect to all of it. We have individuals who talk about, yeah, I'm Afrocentric, but your magnetic field still pulls the mess that your life used to pull previously. You ain't had nothing new gravitate towards you differently. That should tell you whether you are in a state of belief and faith or knowing and absolute. You vibrate different when you're in the knowing. That's a whole lot. Because what's drawn to you is those that agree with that energy and spirit. Right? Like energies. Now, sometimes you're placed in an environment where you're supposed to be transforming individuals who don't vibrate on the same frequency as you. Because the world got you saying, oh, just cut them off. Walk away. Wait a minute. So if you cut people off and you walking away, that means nobody can be changed by the enlightenment in which you walk in? You don't have enough power to influence those who need the seed from you. Wow. And you're knowing you're supposed to see them as the reflection of you in a state of unawareness. And so you plant that seed you're supposed to plant, because maybe you're not supposed to water it. Maybe you're not supposed to shine on it. Maybe you're just supposed to plant it. And you don't get frustrated, because that's all of our duties. If we are living in our knowing, we know that I can't make it out of this world without you. We can't change our situation or our circumstance without each other. Now, everybody may not make it. That don't mean you don't plant a seed and let them go down the road somewhere. Maybe somebody else will fertilize the soil. Maybe somebody else will shine on them. Maybe somebody else will drop them some water on them. But we have to be able to change our environments. When you live in your knowing, you can't hold that just to you. And I only want to be around those who know. Why? Because then you're never tested to see what your purpose is. We got to channel it from each other. So I hear tons of people, and this is funny, we're going to get this. When you live in your knowing, and again, we have a lot of people embracing culture, but they never pass the crossroads. They get to that point where they understand some of it, and they get to that crossroads where they're going to either talk about it or be about it. That's two different things. Talk about it or be about it. Now, when you be about it, there is nothing in your life that does not reflect your knowing. That's why I'm taking some time, because I know what I know, and you can't shake me from it. You can't. I can't be shooken. You just can't. And so I'm the person that I will just do what I'm called to do within my own community. And they said, this brother he won't put it, while you sleeping, I'm working. While you working, I'm working. I need to find some time to sleep. But you get to that crossroads and you got to make a decision. Are you full of blah, 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 blah? You talking the game. You talking black. You might look black. We're going to scratch that. You might talk African. You might look African. But are you the African? And because the African in you begins to speak in its action. Woo. It's not a blah, 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 blah. No, it's a doing. It's a doing. Then it's a seeing. What? I can tell you that they came over still connected to their awareness in God. And they had a seeing that connected to their knowing. And they continue to exist until we got here today. We have more access to one another than we've ever had before. Boundaries upon boundaries. But if you remember, churches, even mine, spoke against social media, spoke against technology. Now you can't live without it. There's no knowing there. There's no knowing there. And so if this is the means of communication, we have to put forth the vibrations of energy that allow us to connect through boundaries. Now, when you sit down and we say, talk about it versus be about it, when you look at technology, we ain't using it to, a 5% of what it's supposed to be used for. Hence, DaAfrican Speaks, the World of Akiba Land, and everything that we do at the PAOCC. We are embracing this. If I look at your profile, what does your profile say about who you are? And how much do you know who you are? And then it'll tell you who you're attracting in your planet and why you ain't found what you're supposed to be, your purpose, your goals, your real talents, your mission, because you're still talking and less doing. You know what I'm saying? I gotta do the arm doing. That's muscle, right? Blah 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 blah. And so when you're doing, and that's the thing, for those who understand, because we had this thing about Wakanda, and everybody was going crazy over Wakanda, and why? Because it is the Afrofuturism, us being able to see us in the future and in the light where we are functioning from who we truly are. And what did they do? What did they have? They were builders. So now, when you sit down and you're talking about, if you're living in the knowing, now we can talk about what it truly means to kingdom build. Because people are talking, churches and religious organizations talking about kingdom building, don't have a clue what it is. Don't have a clue. 99.9% of churches that say talk about kingdom building don't have a clue. Why I say that, and that's kind of hard, some people say, it's because when you are governed by your knowing in God, God will not allow you to stay in a society of social injustice. Now, we can stay here and fight to change it, but while we're doing that, we're supposed to be also institution building, creating an experience in the world where we don't need their police because we police ourselves. We don't need their food because we can feed ourselves. We don't need their education so we can educate ourselves. And with the farms and everything that we have, we can clothe ourselves. That's kingdom building when you know. So if your institution is not a group of leadership that leads you to self-determination, you still, all you have is faith. And your faith can be shaken if the world changes. But when you live in the knowing, I was watching a movie with my daughter last night, and it was about social status and DNA makeups, genotypes, where they create perfect humans. And so a brother who was a god child, natural birth, wasn't genetically designed. And so in that genetically designed, he said, they would battle each other to see who could swim the furthest in the ocean. And so the one brother who was knew that there was something in them more than what society gave, he said, the reason why I beat the genetically perfect brother, because I left nothing in the tank to swim back to shore. I was going to die swimming further than you, because I knew that there was something deeper in me. And then in life, he went so much further than the genetically engineered perfect person, because of the knowing. And I sat down and said, my daughter was like, I got the perfect movie tonight, Dad. We're going to watch this. You're going to love it. And we had a conversation about it, and it was beautiful. And just this moment made me remember that I could bring it in. So it wasn't a part of this, right? But you kingdom build. You build something from that knowing that nobody can take away. Why? Because you'll be giving an image of yourself. Now, when you pass away, because most of the time we don't think about dying. I do. Living, I think about how far am I going to, what am I going to leave? What is the legacy I'm going to have when I walk off the planet? Am I putting it all on the altar? Woo! Am I building something that can stand the test of time? Hence, World of Akibaland. Function from my knowing, the kingdom building, where you try to put power in the hands of the powerless, meaning those of us from the African diaspora, those of us still dealing with the mark of colonialism. That's kingdom building. When we're shaking off any governmental constructs that keeps us from our knowing, because we understand the tools they use to get us where we are. That's kingdom building. And if they not building that, and you hear a preacher sit down and talk about kingdom building, Man, 99.9% of pastors don't know what that means. Because if it's not about creating institutions that is not governed by anybody except the body of God, that's not kingdom building. And that's a hard left because in God there is no gray area. So I've been working on, let me get it. What would it mean for me to live more in the knowing? How, because that's the level of depth. It never, when you start going, and it's African advisor, African, traditional African spiritual advisor, he was like, you're here, right? Or he was like, listen, you're here, but your ancestors want you here. So when we talk about leveling up, that's European. That's European. Going up, that's European. No, because Africans are deep in the depth of their understanding. It's not a up, it's a depth within your knowing. And I said, I have to, in this journey, have to go deeper in my knowing. So this is not something I'm just telling you to do. I'm sharing where I'm at right now. Now, one of the things I saw when I start dealing with looking around the world, hopefully you've been a part of After Streams because you'll see this pop up. Looking around the world and finding examples of individuals trying to live deeper in their knowing, meaning that we want to be in full control of all facets of our life. We've mentioned this on Keeperland Inspirational Sundays, and we've mentioned this on After Stream, Pan African News, and I'm going to mention it again today. The New African World Power, the East African Conference or East African Community, now are the fourth largest world power on the planet. 8 countries in Africa are coming together to call themselves the United States of Africa. You got China, America, UK, East Africa. What? Because we're done being influenced by all the European countries around us who really don't want us to be who God has called us to be. It's time for us to make a decision. And so groups and tribes of people who've been fighting over boundaries left by the colonialism. We want our borders back. No, this is who we are. And they're fighting over how they were dissected by colonial powers. That's where the wars start. Because they want land back. Why fight when we realize that we are distant brothers? We still speak the same languages. Half your family live over here and half my family live over there. They're slowly deeper into their knowing where we're going to live as a people that governs ourselves and interacts with the other global families. Knowing. Now we here in the States, we have access to more information than any black people anywhere. But what do we do with it? We stay in our belief and our faith and stay separate because we don't embrace. We're scared to go deeper into our knowing because the minute you realize that you are truly a child of God, a child of the Most High, you are an expression of the Creator, you gotta do different. You gotta be different. It's not about talking about it. It's about living it. And when I say the rise of the African, and I talk about the African Speaks, where's it? Right down there. Down there. You speak not only through your words, but they also say, you know how they say? Actions speak louder than words. I don't know how many individuals who talk their game but don't live it. Mm. And when they live in it, they live in low levels of it. And that was my thing. I sat there and said, okay, brother, you building because you know what God has called you to do. And so now what else? What level of depth can I get into where I exist more in my knowing? I'll ask you that. What else can you do with inside your families, even at your job, how you wait, how you interact and attract and affect or influence other people? What can you do to exist deeper in your knowing where it's not a talk? It's not talkolution. It becomes revolution. Ain't that something? So that's my conversation for the night. As you go to sleep, as you slow down, as you prepare yourself for your day tomorrow, I ask you to find a way to have your faith slip down deeper into your knowing. People say, increase your faith, increase your faith, increase your faith, and your faith is going up and up and up. And I'm going to tell you, deepen your faith into your knowing. How far can you go into you to find the God in you and what you are here to deliver to this planet? That's where I'm at tonight. I just wanted to share. Hopefully, we will get to experience and see what it looks like when there's an African that rises in you. One love.